Welcome, you're watching Kaleidoscope Ceylinco Life News Capsule. Post-World War II and post-independence, Sri Lanka followed the model of one of the most successful economies of the time, the USSR, a socialist, Marxist planned and centralized economy. While that did well for a decade, this Marxist capitalism became entrenched in our economy, and therein lies our convoluted problem with state-owned enterprises. The Department of Public Enterprise states that Sri Lanka currently has 287 SOEs, and as we all know, a majority of them have been draining our economy for decades. On the Pethiyagoda Pages is scientist, conservationist and public policy advocate Rohan Pethiyagoda for more. Rohan, so from post-independence, SOEs have been a part of our economy, right?
So in 1949, it was obvious for D.S. Senanayake to start the CWE, which is now SATUSA, the means of retail trade in Sri Lanka. In 1956, SWRD pledged that all key industries would be nationalized and operated by. In 1958, he nationalized transport and the port of Colombo. 1960, Mrs. Bandaranaike goes on to nationalize schools, the Bank of Ceylon, and petroleum, for example. And in 1972, she capped it off by nationalizing plantations and killing any prospect of industrial agriculture in Sri Lanka with the Land Reform Act. So now we've had almost a century of government taking progressive control of the means of production. If you think about it, the armed services operate almost 30 tourist hotels in Sri Lanka. Which part of the defense manual is that incorporated in? I just don't understand it. The government even runs Hotel de Buhari in Colombo. So this progression has come forward for a century and become deeply entrenched both in politics and in the minds of civil society.
Now, we have this legacy. Are we ever going to get rid of it?
It's going to be very difficult because state-owned enterprises are deeply entrenched in the Sri Lankan psyche. It's just ordinary people who believe this, middle-class people who believe this. And privatizing these enterprises is going to be like pulling teeth, as you can already see with the protests. The thing is, governments like state-owned enterprises because it gives them 200 organizations in which to appoint cronies and relatives, unemployable relatives, as chairmen and directors with vehicles and all the other trimmings that come with that. The people like it because it gives them the illusion that there are jobs to be had, even though the jobs, by and large, are paid for by the public purse and cause huge damage to the economy. The argument is made, for example, recently I heard we shouldn't privatize Sri Lanka Telecom or Lanka hospitals because they make profits. But profit has nothing to do with it. The return of investment is always higher in the private sector, and it's not the government's job to do business. So this is very difficult after a century of brainwashing to get into the political order, or for that matter, into the minds of ordinary people.
And a big thank you to the partners on our show, who are the best. Skills for Inclusive Growth and Australian Aid, Ceylinco Life, CDB, The Morning Newspaper, Park Street Gourmet and Zip Zip. Thank you. If you like Kaleidoscope, subscribe and follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram and LinkedIn.
You focus on your goals. We will take care of the risks.